Hi, Kubrick Lover 1972, back with some more uh, Blu-rays, DVDs. We're onto the box sets now. So maybe with these box sets, we're going to go very slowly through them. Well, what I mean is because box sets include more than one movie, or some box sets, of course, are just one movie, but they have all this extra stuff that comes with it. So there'll be those as well. But anyways, the first box set we're going to get to in this in looking at box sets is and also in this particular part of the collection, we will be looking at singular DVDs and Blu-rays as well. So we'll get to those as well because I have them a little mixed in, and they're mostly box sets in this particular bookcase, but I do have also in there some just singular DVDs and Blu-rays. So let's get to the first box set. I know this has probably been shown to death on YouTube, but I thought I'd show it. I don't think I'll get into too much detail about this, and one of the reasons for that is it is a Criterion. One of the reasons I won't get into details because it's been covered so much, and I don't know. I think if I do cover it, maybe I should cover it when I start to watch it. But it's Zatoichi, the Blind Swordsman. I will say something interesting about it, which is that one of the particular movies, one of the characters he fights, I don't know if I'm going to show you all these photos because there's so many. Well, they're not really photos; they're paintings. One of the characters he fights in one of the 25 movies is Yojimbo. And the character of Yojimbo is played by Toshiro Mifune. And of course, Toshiro Mifune was in the original Yojimbo by Akira Kurosawa. And it was followed by a sequel called Sanjuro. And Yojimbo in Japanese means bodyguard. And Sanjuro, the sequel, is the name of the character that Toshiro Mifune is playing. So I don't know how good the Zatoichi against Yojimbo is, but I'll be excited to watch it, see what it's like, So, but anyways, so we have all these paintings here. I don't know where. I know I'm showing them. Here it is. Zatoichi meets Yojimbo. So I don't know how good the film is, but I like it anyways. Because I've been showing you my Japanese cinema, and I really enjoy Japanese and Asian cinema a lot. But oops, I don't want to ruin that. Nice booklet. Has that nice paper smell to it. And I know this also features a short documentary with the films. And it also has it also, what else? Oh yeah, the trailers. It has the trailers from the movies. So, yeah, so. So you got, how does this work? That's Blu-ray 1. I'm kind of confused here. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. They're fold-outs. The DVDs are here, and the Blu-ray is right here. So, you know, that's the case with 4, 5, and 6 as well. You know, you got the Blu-rays, or the DVD, and wait a minute, I'm sorry. You got DVDs and the Blu-ray right there. So I'm just gonna leaf through this really fast here, because, you know, I think maybe I'll do like a review or something when I get to the point of watching all these. So, and this has been shown. Dean has shown this on his channel. So yeah, that's Zatoichi's Blind Swordsman for you. So I was going to do another video after I'd shown this, but you know, looks like I did this pretty fast, and it looks like I can shoot some more. Now here we go. As you know, my name is Kubrick Lover 1972, my pseudonym, and obviously you would think that I have some Kubrick, and I do. I absolutely do. And in fact, I have more than one copy of his films, like a few on Blu-ray that I do already have on DVD, and just a few other copies of films of his that, well, let's get to, I have one of them is a box set. So it's Stanley Kubrick, A Life in Pictures, or, well, that's the name of the documentary that comes with this. And it's got the posters for the various films he made. Doesn't have all his films. It doesn't have Paths of Glory. It doesn't have Fear and Desire. It doesn't have The Flying Padre or Day of the Fight. Now, anyways, if you see, let's see, right here, that's Tom Cruise's autograph. And down here is Matthew Modine's autograph. Tom Cruise was, of course, in Eyes Wide Shut, and then you have Matthew Modine, who was in Full Metal Jacket. And I'll show you the DVDs. I've had this for quite a while. You got Lolita, which I think is a good movie, but not a great movie. It's not like his other movies. Maybe because he couldn't, you know, go to great lengths, you know, be very controversial because of the time period. But it was controversial for its time period, but if it was made today by Kubrick, probably he would get much more explicit with it. And this one, Dr. Strangelove, I have on Blu-ray, a Criterion. And then we have, do I have this on Blu-ray? No, I don't have this on Blu-ray. But it's one of my favorite movies. Well, Dr. Strangelove is one of my favorites, too. Some of my favorite films of all time. Like, if I said I had to pick a number one, maybe 2001 would be it, because the technology is so advanced. The use of space and time, you know, like space within a frame, it's literally space, and you got time, which is millions of years, just like the length of a shot. So it's like a metaphor for that. I don't know if that's a great explanation or a great defense of 2001, but it's an epic movie, and it's a beautiful movie, and parts of it I think go beyond explanation. So, but there are other, but I also think other Kubrick movies really match up to 2001. One of them's Dr. Strangelove, and this is another, Clockwork Orange, which is a really good movie. I do have a hard time watching the Ludovico technique part where the eyes, clamped open. You know, that's kind of hard for me to watch. I've watched it multiple times. Clockwork Orange. I've watched 2001 multiple times, and I've watched Dr. Strangelove lots of times as well. Barry Lyndon, I haven't watched as many times as that, but I have seen it quite a bit. I haven't watched it as much, maybe because of its length. I believe it's 3 hours and 15 minutes. And it's just a beautifully photographed film. This particular film was shot on Mitchell cameras with Zeiss lenses. If you watch the documentary that comes with the box set, you'll find out that Kubrick got Zeiss lenses from NASA. And Zeiss lenses at that time period were being used on satellites, and they had very wide apertures. And he wanted to shoot in candlelight, and he didn't want to. I don't think he wanted to use any artificial lights. So sorry, I didn't turn the light on before. So he got these Zeiss lenses, and he had it specially fitted to old Mitchell cameras that weren't as used as much, because I think at that time period in the 70s, people were shooting movies. Well, he was shooting movies with Panavision, like with 2001, and then Clockwork Orange. At least one scene he shot with an Airflex, like a handheld Airflex. Anyways, here's another movie that's one of my favorites of all time, The Shining. I think I'd say there's 3 other horror movies that I think are the greatest of all time, and this is one of them. But if I had to pick the greatest horror movie of all time, this is probably it. But even though I would pick also Alien by Ridley Scott, and Night of the Living Dead, the original, and Dawn of the Dead, the original by George Romero. And when I have an autographed box set of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead as well. So I'll show you that to you when I get to it. Full Metal Jacket. I like the starting in the film. I like the ending. But the middle of it is, I don't know, it just kind of drags. I know he's trying to do something innovative in the film. He's trying to really break boundaries, but I can't get into it. But maybe I should. I don't know. The starting, what do you call it? The Paris Island drill sergeant thing that was fantastic, and the ending with the sniper is fantastic. But the part in the middle, it kind of slows down, and I don't know. It seems like a duplication of like what's that movie? Platoon. But it's a good movie. And here's Matthew Modine's autograph on this DVD as well. I don't know if I have a ton of movies that are autographed, but I have a few. And and then the last film in the box set is Eyes Wide Shut, with, of course, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Tom Cruise got an ulcer from making this film. They shot it, I think, at least for more than a year. But I remember when I met Tom Cruise at the Jacob Burns Film Center, he was showing Jack Reacher. I brought a whole bunch of DVDs with me to just have him to sign. He said he would only sign one DVD, so I really wanted two signed, but he was being fair, and I understand. The other one I wanted signed, and I'll show it to you when we get to the towers, is one of my favorite Spielberg movies, which is Minority Report, which was based on a short story by Philip K. Dick, who's the inspiration. His other piece of work, D'Ander's Dream of Electric Sheep, was the inspiration for Blade Runner. So, but anyways, and then we have the documentary, A Life in Pictures. I think I didn't show all the insides of these, but I don't think I really have to. But I guess because I'm going to get to these other Kubrick movies that I have. So that's Life in Pictures. It's a pretty good documentary. It's over 2 hours. It's probably like 2 hours and 40 minutes or 2 hours and 50 minutes. It's narrated by Tom Cruise, and I highly recommend this movie. Oh, and there's another movie. I just thought of it, and I don't have it with. Well, it's in the bookcase. After we look at all the Kubrick movies, I'll get that particular documentary that relates to The Shining. But anyways, so now the next three are Criterions, and the last one is just another Blu-ray of one of his films, The Killing, which I have sort of put in the same, would the word be pantheon, or the same level of films like, 2001 and The Shining and Barry Lyndon, Dr. Strangelove. But it's about a heist, and I think it's a well-constructed movie. When I first saw it, I think I wasn't into it as much, but after repeat viewings, I really got into it. I don't know if I've watched this a ton of times, but the thing about Kubrick is if you watch his films more than once, you get more out of them. This particular movie, the cinematographer was the husband of, I'm trying to remember, she was one of the cast members of Gone with the Wind, maybe Merle Oberon, I'm not sure, but I think maybe it's stated on here, and maybe it's his producer friend that worked with him until after Strangelove, and then they parted. They parted amicably. If I can find the right word, they parted on good terms because James Harris, the producer, wanted to go off and make his own movies, and. But anyways, I think this was the first one they worked on. And anyways, in the special features, I believe, on this Criterion, the cinematographer put the camera a certain way. He was moving a certain way for a certain scene. And Kubrick was very hands-on, and he knew more than just directing. He knew like editing, cinematography, everything about movies. And like in the Life in Pictures documentary, when they're talking about Clockwork Orange, they're talking like maybe he knows how to advertise Clockwork Orange way better than the Warner Brothers publicity department does. And so with the like a dolly shot that was being done in this particular movie, Kubrick had it mapped out himself. And he basically overrode the authority of the cinematographer working with him and told him what to do, basically. And Kubrick was pretty young at this point. He's probably, I think, in his 20s. So the cinematographer wasn't too pleased with that. But that's an anecdote for you to tell you about this movie. It also features Killer's Kiss, which was technically Kubrick's first feature. He made a film before that called Fear and Desire. I think Kubrick was kind of embarrassed about it because it looks kind of amateurish to him, I guess. I do have a copy of that, but I haven't watched it. It's ripped from YouTube, and I just haven't watched it. But I'd like, one of these days I'll get to watching it. And next up, another one of my favorite films, another one of my favorite Kubrick movies, Passive Glory. Great movie, great anti-war film. This film was banned in France when it came out. A few decades later, it was shown in France, or released in France. It stars Kirk Douglas. And it's basically like about the futility of war and you know, what a waste it is. And the plot of the film basically is that since these French privates haven't advanced on the Germans, they're going to court-martial a few of these soldiers and then execute them as an example to motivate the troops to attack the enemy. And it's an excellent movie, and I highly recommend it. A good companion piece to this film would be All Quiet on the Western Front by Louis Milestone that came out in the early 30s. I think it was 1931 or something. This particular film came out in the 1950s. But in All Quiet on the Western Front, it's about German soldiers and how they become disillusioned with the war when they come back from World War I. And this is just the opposite side. It's the French soldiers and how they become disillusioned. So I highly recommend this. And next up is a really nice Blu-ray that Criterion just released just fairly recently, like last summer. And I really like the packaging for this. They really put a lot of work into this. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Excellent movie. I know I showed this before in the box set, but this if you're thinking of buying this, buy it on Criterion because it has such nice packaging here. There's Slim Pickens on riding the nuclear bomb like it's some rodeo, like a rodeo bull. See atomic explosions there. Yeah. And you have a nice, what am I talking about? Blu-ray. And that's, of course, high there. That was written on the missile. One of the missiles is like humor, you know. Well, it's a very funny movie, like a very irreverent movie. And like in the movie with Slim Pickens talking about Plan R and all the Air Force soldiers, they open up Plan R and they see what comes with it. They really put a lot of work into this because, let's see. Well, first off, you got this top secret. These are the notes about the film, and they're done in such a way that they're written like if they were top secret papers. So really well done. And then you have, this is really great. You got this Holy Bible and Russian phrases, just like Slim Pickens talks about in the movie. Of course, you can't really read that. It's tiny, you know. like it's saying directed and produced by Stanley Kubrick, screenplay by Stanley Kubrick, Terry Southern, Peter George, based on the book Red Alert by Peter George. So you got all that kind of stuff there. So that is really cool. And then to end it off, you got this. You got, that's like a Playboy kind of magazine. And in the movie that one of the characters in the plane is looking at a pornographic magazine in the plane. Of course, that refers, that line, "Have you ever seen a commie drink a glass of water?" That's referring to Jack D. Ripper, who's he's the head of Burleson Air Force Base, and he overrides the president and starts a nuclear war. And there's a Playboy interview with Terry Southern. You got the War Room set, which was designed by Ken Adam, who did the sets for a lot of James Bond movies. The set in reality, in color, because this film's in black and white, the set in reality for the War Room was like a greenish table, sort of like a pool table, I guess. And I don't think I'm showing this right. Oh, there we go. There you go. You got Sterling Hayden as Jack D. Ripper there, and you got what's his face? Peter Sellers as Captain Mandrake. That woman right there, she's I think it's her father was involved with this film, and that's how she got the role for, I can't remember her character's name. There's Kubrick with Peter Sellers again. Kubrick's right there, Peter Sellers right there. And Kubrick was laughing so hard because Peter Sellers was just, coming up with these funny lines and everything. And Peter Sellers, the third role he played was Dr. Strangelove himself. He was supposed to play the role of Major Kong in the plane, but he broke his leg, so that didn't happen. Peace is our profession. That just so funny, because it's opposite of that. They're destroying the world, and this is one of the funniest movies, and one of the great movies of all time. Yeah, so if you want to buy a copy of this movie, then this is the way to go. I'd recommend it over the box set. I think there are other box sets of Kubrick's now that are even more, have more stuff on them. I think Dean and the DVD has one that maybe has more stuff. You tell me, Dean. But the one I have was like one of the first Kubrick box sets. So, and then last up, well, not last up, because I'm going to show you a documentary about The Shining. But first off, the second to last is a Blu-ray of Clockwork Orange. The library where I work, in the basement, they sell used books and CDs and DVDs, and this was a used Blu-ray. I only got them for a few bucks, and unlike the one in the Kubrick box set, it has loads with special features. I've watched all the special features, and I've heard the commentary when I borrowed it from another library near where I live. But anyways, this probably looks fantastic in Blu-ray, and it had some great documentaries, like showing you the places where they shot the film. It shows you actors that performed in the film besides Malcolm McDowell. Had great commentary with Malcolm McDowell and talking about how they did all the scenes, like the Ludovico technique. How they used like a liquid on his eyeballs so he wouldn't get hurt. But if you watch the Kubrick documentary from the box set, you'll find out that, or maybe it's on the Clockwork Orange Blu-ray. Maybe it's both places. He scratched his cornea at one point because he was so uncomfortable that he was in the straitjacket, and he wrenched his head a little bit, and he scratched his cornea. So in that particular case, Kubrick said, well, we'll have to shoot the other eye until, so he also, after that particular scene, you see the scene where he's on stage and he's being humiliated, and you see the dandy guy putting his foot up against his mouth and telling him to lick his shoe. He actually broke his ribs doing that scene. So that's just some interesting anecdotes for you about Clockwork Orange. And to finish it off, just a second, I'll be right back. But to finish it off, I have a documentary about The Shining, so I'll be right back. Okay, back with the last part of the Kubrick collection. This is not a Kubrick movie. Well, it is. It's not by Kubrick, but it's about a Kubrick movie, and it's about, obviously, The Shining, Room 237. This, maybe for some people, this would be a load of crap, because it's just the theories might sound crazy, and maybe they do. But if you'd like to hear some way out theories about what The Shining's about and all that kind of stuff, I think it's worth buying. Is it outlandish? Yeah, maybe to some degree. But if you're into movies, if you're into Kubrick, if you're into The Shining, and they say, according to this documentary and other sources too, I believe, they say The Shining is like one of the most dense movies of all time. Just one of the most. What I mean by dense is it's loaded with hidden themes, and it's very intricate and complex. So it's got a commentary with Kevin McLeod, the mastermind, I guess he is. He's just this person that I guess is maybe a theory person. Secrets of The Shining panel discussion from the first annual Stanley Film Festival. And I thought that it was a Stanley Kubrick Film Festival, but I don't think so. It's just, maybe it's held in the hotel where Stephen King got the idea for The Shining. Not sure. 11 deleted scenes, the making of the music featurette, Mondo poster design discussion with artist Ella Lewis, trailer, and alternate trailers. And it's got some. Well, let me read a little bit about this, because you might find this interesting. In 1980, Stanley Kubrick released his masterpiece of modern horror, The Shining. Over 30 years later, we're still struggling to understand its hidden meanings. Rodney Asher's wry and provocative documentary, Room 237, fuses fact and fiction through interviews with both fanatics and scholars, creating a kaleidoscope deconstruction of Kubrick's still controversial classic. And let me just read 3 of the reviews here for you. There's little blurbs. 3.5 stars. Asher's unique and unforgettable film is a tribute to Cinemania. It's the party game movie of the year. I couldn't have liked it more. Peter Travers, Rolling Stone. Amazing. It obliterated my cranium. It's the best nonfiction film I've seen all year. It introduces a new way to experience and consider movies. Chuck Klosterman, Grantland. Mind-blowing. A keyhole into the maze-like world of the Shining obsessives. Joshua Rothkopf, Time Out, New York. So there's some interesting theories. There's like one theory is it's about the Holocaust, and if you look at the typewriter that Jack Torrance uses Jack Nicholson, you can see like an eagle and maybe the Nazi swastika. So that there's theories that it's about the Holocaust. There's other theories that it's about the American Indian genocide, Native American genocide. There's some other theories. Oh yeah, there's another theory that's about that Kubrick faked the moon landing. I don't buy that. I think people really landed on the moon, but some people are conspiracy theorists. Some of them believe that it was faked and that Kubrick was the guy that was hired to make it look like it was fake. I mean, like it was real. I'm sorry, not like it's fake. What am I talking about? And in this documentary, I believe you'll see some shots. Yes, you will see some shots of the moon landing, and the person will point to certain parts of the frame and say it's on a studio, and they were never on the moon. And part of his defense comes from the fact that the Danny Torrance, played by Danny Lloyd, he has a sweater on it at a certain point in the movie that says Apollo on it. So, I don't know, wink, wink, it's supposed to be Kubrick referencing, saying, I faked the moon landing, here's the evidence, or whatever. But whatever you think. And it also, I think it also references a few other movies as well by Kubrick, like Eyes Wide Shut, I think Clockwork Orange, maybe 2001, I don't know, maybe Doctor Strange. But I think it's worth a buy, I think it's... if you like Kubrick, I think it's worth it. But just be prepared that it's going to sound a little crazy, the theories that they talk about. But if you like to hear like way out theories and you might find it interesting. But if you're not quite sure, and you might think it's way out. You might want to do some research on the internet and see what people think of it. So, well, anyways, with that, that's the end of Kubrick. So, next up, I think we'll get to the James Bond box sets, and I have 4 of those. So, be on the lookout for those. Let me just say something else about The Shining. Kubrick's films are fantastic. I'm trying to get this back in here, and I'm having trouble. No, I should be doing that later on. Well, anyways, yeah. So if you look, and you can see this in the documentary, like where Ullman's office is, where the window of the office in the back of his office. In reality, when you think of it logically through your head, there shouldn't be an outside, but you think there's an outside, and like. When you walk through the halls of the first floor and you think there's a door leading out, there's a wall. So it sort of plays with your mind, The Shining. And I think that's why it's a great horror film. And it's why people get scared, because they get confused, psychologically. Also, I think it's a great horror film because, unlike other horror films that rely on, crazy creatures and, what's around the corner, it works on you better. Well, I like other horror movies. I shouldn't try to put down other horror movies, but what I'm saying is, this is the characters are a father, a son, and a wife, and a mother. A wife, mother, and they're not these monsters or anything. And like a great fear for you would be, all of a sudden your father is going to try to kill you, that's like one of the most craziest, fearsome kind of things that could happen to you, so that's probably why it scares people so much, because we get to know these characters, we get to care about them, and that's what catapults us into, terror. So that's why it's a masterpiece. And another thing is, and you'll see this in the making of the Stanley Kubrick, the Life in Pictures thing, and the box set. You'll see Kubrick would shoot literally. He's like Fincher, but Kubrick started doing it first, of course. And that is like he'd shoot like 100 takes of one shot, and he was like bullying, what's her name, Shelley Duvall, and he would bully her to get the performance he wanted out of her, and he would shoot like literally like 100 takes of one shot just to get the performance he wanted out. Another director I think of when I think of like manipulating performer would be Chishu Royu, who was directed by Ozu, and I guess he wasn't really a natural actor, so he would just beat the performance out of him and just do several takes to get what he wanted. So, anyways, I guess I've done a lot. I've said my fair amount about Kubrick. I might revisit Kubrick in another video. I probably will at some point. But anyways, I think I've said all I've had to say for this particular video. And like I said, in the next one we'll probably we'll go to James Bond box sets next. So be on the lookout, and thanks for watching.